Level Up Latina partners with working women and mamas alike to guide them in achieving fulfilling career and life goals through financial empowerment, professional or leadership coaching, and personal wellness. Find the unique coaching you need to succeed. You're listening to Vero, Ceci, and Irene, and we are Level Up Latina.
Welcome back to another episode of the Level Up Latina podcast. If you have been tuning in, you know this is episode 209 and it's part of our summer series where we give you a quick, short episode for you to tune in, get a little bit of what we're thinking, what's on our mind through these three chingona Latinas. And if you're tuning in, you're pretty awesome as well. So before we continue, I didn't even mention what we're talking about today. Like, that's how excited I am to just get going. So today we're going to be talking about our best summer memories, or that one summer memory, like Greece. We're going to be like, summer loving, da 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 da. Anyway, so before we get into that, how are you doing, Ceci and Irene? ¿Cómo están?
Bien, aquí ready to talk about our summer flings, summer memories, favorite kid memory, whatever comes to mind.
Was at the beach today, riding bikes, making memories with my 11-year-old. So let's get into it.
Let's do it. I think there's always summer memories. And I think my first summer memories go to the rancho, going on vacation, right? Ooh, I'm going to Mexico on vacation, de chiquita. That's like some of my first summer memories. It always goes to Mexico and the rancho and being with family. Being with my grandparents, being with cows and drinking fresh lechita ordeñada, con panchito pantera, tomándomela allí. Going and looking for rocks and trying to bring back bags of rocks to the States, and my parents telling them they, I don't know, somehow disappeared before we came back. So that's like the first thing my mind goes to, that beautiful, like just childhood stuff. And that's like early childhood, through my like teens. Is there like one thing that you guys go back to as like young, de chiquitas, before we jump into like, grandotas and new things and flings y todo, pero is there something that your mind just goes to as a kid?
For sure. For me, for the summer, my mom loved taking us to the beach. She loved that. She was a West Side person. And if you're from LA, that's like Santa Monica, Mar Vista, Venice. My mom loved taking us to Santa Monica Beach. I remember we would walk. We would always come down the big stairs. So if you are familiar with Santa Monica, like you can park over like on Ocean and you take these big stairs and this big bridge to get over to the sand. Like that was my mom's thing to do. And she just loved doing that. And she would always talk about how I could be in the water for hours and that I love swimming, that I love the water. But my mom was definitely someone that liked taking us to the beach. So my go-to memories of the summer are her doing that and like being these West Side babies, always on the West Side.
That's so cute. I get a little picture tanned Irene, little baby Irene splashing around.
It was awesome.
¿Y tú, Cecilia? A ver allá, con tu San Francisco Giants shirt that I want to puke.
Ay, sí. Me duermo con ella.
Hasta yo.
For me, I know my internet. I think my internet's kind of unstable, but we'll see how this goes. So, for me, it was we would have in our old house, our first house, we would have like a pool, like a above ground pool, and I guess my dad. I don't know when my dad was there. My dad was there, but I just remember us kids being there, and it was my sister and I. And maybe my brother was very little, so no me acuerdo si if he was in preschool or whatever. But anyway, we would just kind of like watch TV all day, go to the pool, come back, watch TV, and my mom would always buy the big ass bag of tortilla chips from Costco, and the big ass tub of nacho, and like my sister and I all day, come nachos with jalapenos, and like that was our thing, eating that all day. Going swimming in our little swimming pool, and we basically, like, antes no nos ahogamos, but like we basically taught ourselves how to swim back there. That was our swim classes, nada que acá muy fresas, Vero y yo, taking our kids to swim classes. Pero right? Pero yeah, that's how we learned to swim, my sister and I, and like the nachos, and that was our survival those summers, because there wasn't any camps, or my parents didn't know about camps or couldn't afford them, or any swim classes. And that's like my favorite memory, and like what I remember. And I must have been, I don't know, like young. I mean, I was in probably like 5th, 6th grade, por ahí, más o menos. And my sister must have been like in kindergarten, 1st grade, por ahí.
That is so cute. También eso, like just that's like it's such pure like innocence, like pure memories of like being a kid, right? You talked about pool. I'm like, wow, you had an above ground pool. That's so awesome. I used to have the little inflatable ones, not even inflatable, the hard plastic that like así alrededor, and you know if you leaned on it, the whole water se iba. That's so cool. But
It was two types. It was like the ones that, one time it was like the ones that I guess they would sell at the store. That one ripped and it was like shitty or whatever. And then my dad and like, I guess two of my uncles build one the cemento, like above ground, like with bricks and everything. And then that became the pool. It was cool. It was kind of funky and square, but it was cool. It worked, you know?
dang.
That's really cool. If my dad would have built me a pool, he used to kick my ass for like swinging on a wax swing my brother built me because the little flowers would fall off and the avocados wouldn't grow. But he would not build me no fucking pool.
Ay, pinche aguacate, vale
That was
madre.
crazy. I know my dad was funny. He was crazy. But yeah, good for you. Good for your dad. That's so
I also
sweet.
like the whole TV thing. Did you guys ever watch summer TV in English? Like in español, pues salía, nothing good was on till Cristina came on, right? But I remember watching like the Elvis movies or like watching I Love Lucy, watching like all this stuff. And I'm like, why did my mom let me watch this? You know, like, you know.
Heck yeah. I Love Lucy.
Yeah, I Love
Always on.
Lucy, y luego las películas de Elvis and The Twilight Zone. I remember all that crap that we would watch, but now I'm like, I really like that stuff. I'm such a dork. But the library was also a saver for the summer whenever we, you know, ya habían vacaciones, pero el verano siempre like, okay, pues vete a la biblioteca un ratito and we'll go, and I would always check out movies. I remember renting Grease for the first time.
Grease, yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is the coolest movie. Of course, I didn't understand all the double entendres about, you know, sex and all the stuff that teenagers are going through in high school. So I'm in like elementary school, but I love that it was a musical and people were dancing and doing all this stuff. So that's what happens when you're poor. You rent movies from the library. You tan on papel del periódico. Se te queda like pegada todos los artículos de the articles on your skin. Watch movies and chill out. But as you got older, what kind of takes over in the sense of the memories for you guys?
As it relates to summer, I think what takes over is that we definitely are people that travel. We talk about that all the time, but I think my kids definitely like being outside. So that's a blessing. Like the memories that I have is like, I was just telling my youngest today, like he loves to invite people on a bike or a walk. That's like Noah's thing. And I was just telling him today, I was like, I love that about you, Noah. I love that. I love that. I love that. Because as I was on a bike ride with him today, I was thinking about all the summers that we've done different bike rides. And they all kind of flash back to my mind. Like, oh, and that summer I was like COVID and I would go by myself and it'd be like a long ride. Or I remember how we would rent, like in my mind, I'm telling myself like, oh, remember? And we would rent it with the kids and we would put them in a little thing in Santa Barbara and we'd go on bike rides and like Diego's pushing these two kids and they're heavy. Or remember when we ride the bikes? When in my mind, I could think of all the summers, the little bike rides, and like you'd get in the one where like everybody's having to push the little like carrito on a bike. They have them in Santa Barbara. We've done those in several cities, and I was like being Diego solo doing it. But it reminded me of like being outside, being by a beach, doing those little quintessential like corny things that you do in like a beach city or just like in a town as a tourist, like a tuk-tuk kind of vibe. But that is very heartwarming to me to think about that. In fact, to the point that like our bikes are all beat up. Like we were just talking about today. And when we were finishing our bike ride today, and I told Noah at the beginning of the bike ride, like, Papa, you really need a bigger bike. Dad told me he didn't want a bigger bike. He's like, no, I'm good with a bigger bike. And then Dad was like, his dad, wait, I thought you didn't want a bigger bike. And I'm like, yeah, you're outgrowing this bike. He's like, no, Dad, I want a new bike. So I'm like, oh, I'll get you a new bike, Papa. We got to get you one because you're getting too tall for this bike. Y'all, the minute we were finishing our ride, like we could see where our car was parked with a bike rack, his freaking bike tire pops, it was all dramatic, sounded all crazy, his like Starbucks falls, like he had it in his little cup holder. But anyway, that's gonna be a cute memory thinking back on. We were both like thinking how like, thank God we were done, we were by the car, like we were just talking about getting rid of this bike, like le dio. Like he has put in work on this bike. And Diego's still trying to be like, let's fix it and give it away. I'm like, nobody wants this bike. Anyway, it was just a really sweet story, and it reminded me like we are bike people.
But like that's the thing. Like I think right now you're thinking about your kids, and I'm like that's like such a kid thing, right? Bicycles and your skateboard. Like okay, right before we jumped onto this to podcasting, like I'm like to get the kids ready for bed, but my mom was going out for a walk with the kids, right? So my mom's here helping me out, and Galilea she's been neglecting these like knee pads and little hand gloves that she got with her casco when we bought it like 3 years ago, or 2 years ago when we first got her helmet and their little bike and their, ¿cómo se llaman? Scooters? There you go, scooters. I'm thinking Spanish. But she like got it all, like put it all on. She found it today, and she like puts on her gloves, and she puts on her like knee pads, and she puts on her helmet. She's like, Mamá Josefina, vamos a dar la vuelta a la manzana. She looked like she was ready to conquer something new. Like, I'm like, oh my God, is my daughter going to be on BMXing, doing some stunts and some crazy extreme sports? But it was so cute, like seeing her be excited. And the fact that it's, dark, it gets darker later. I was trying to put them to bed, and they're like, we're not going to bed. Like, no, vamos a salir a patinar, vamos a salir a estar afuera. So they were outside, and it was so cute because I could just see them, like, I was feeding Maura, and I could just see them pass around the house, and like super fast. And another thing that makes me nostalgic is like, dang, these kids are growing up. I remember when they were just learning how to do this, and they couldn't even turn right, they couldn't even do anything with this. But it's so cute because summer is about being outside. It's about being a kid. And I think that it's less common now, or maybe it's just to me. But there's this thing about just being out and feeling that freedom that really isn't freedom, but feeling like, yeah, this is vacation. This is what I'm talking about. This is the summer. I longed for being a kid again.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like como que ya, I don't know, no se usa. I don't know if it's because as parents, we feel like it's unsafe, and, it might be safe, but I remember just summers. Like I'm still thinking like growing up, becoming a teenager and like going on bike rides and just being out todo el día en la calle hasta que my mom would come out. Niñas, ya vénganse a cenar, vénganse a comer. So I just remember that bike rides. That ya ahorita en la actualidad you don't really see that anymore. Like just being out and about all day as a kid on your street, just playing con los chiquillos del neighborhood. That's the memory that comes up for me. And then even going to like before college and whatnot, I remember, I guess I was in high school, whatever, in the summers, watching Jerry Springer, like all summer long watching Jerry Springer.
Oh my God.
That's a good memory right there.
Right? Jerry Springer. La otra cosa también, like my own quince, and then like being in a quince and like practicing in the summer outside in someone's garden. And then having like, your little crush, so me acuerdo de eso, like, like it was a summer. I remember being in a quince in a summer and just practicing el vals and this, that, and like looking forward to like the weekly or whatever practice that we used to have so that I could see my little crush. And then in my own quince, my little crush who eventually became mi noviecillo. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is another memorable summer was the summer that I studied abroad in Spain, and that I got to travel. And just remember that was like 20 something years ago, 22 years ago, because it was like the summer it was the summer of 22. No, the summer of 2002. So what? Yeah, 21 años. So yeah, me acuerdo de eso. So that's a memory that pops up. Like, yeah, it was a summer thing. Como dicen ustedes, just being outside, like the heat and like certain memories and certain smells too that recuerdan, that point in time and the place that you were at.
I think the traveling is obviously like a sweet memory. I think of like the heat, like you said, the smells, like the smell of like the coconut in the like suntan, like those smells for sure, like vacation, and like the way it smells to like be in certain places definitely remind me of summer. So that tropical smell, that like vacation smell, it feels like the heat, like, when it doesn't get cold at all, it's like 10 o'clock at night and it's still hot outside, like that Cancun vibe, that feels like vacation. But also, funny enough, this isn't totally summer, but I feel like Santa Barbara has a smell, so it kind of reminds me of like that summer vibe period, and it gets like that lake smell, that water swamp smell.
It's like a mixture
smell, but Santa Barbara has a smell, y'all. It smells like
that.
It
smells like what is it called?
Yeah, what, the lagoon? The lagoon.
Yeah, the lagoon. It
tiene su olorcito, and it makes me feel like summer. Like, it makes me feel like college, I guess, just felt like that in the summer, right? Pero ese olorcito of UC Santa Barbara days. And I feel like vacation has that smell, and those memories that come back that feel like summer, and then that time in that life of ours. I guess, yeah, that was like an endless summer. That was just like being on vacation every day.
I mean, that's where I went to my first nude beach with the girls and let them out.
See?
Let them out.
Like, it may have been October, but it felt like summer, girl.
And there was like this one really cool summer that it was, I think it was right before graduation, because I obviously stayed an extra year after you ladies because I just could not have enough of that summer feeling, where it was just like every Thursday night, every Tuesday we were out, every Thursday night we were out, and it was hot in Santa Barbara and we were tanning. So yo me ponía roja because I couldn't tan, but everyone else looked so hot, all tanned up, and I was red. It's all good. But like we would do like Jello shots and we would like, pre-party and then get on Bill's bus and then do all this. And like, I just think of it like, qué vida, qué inocencia también, right? Right. We're emerging adults. We're like young adults and we're like we had no really worries. There were no big worries in life. And I feel that even that is like this childish feeling, right? Like being, everything was so new to us. Like being 21 was being new and being out was so new and those were times where like, it's like being out with our friends on the street of our block. But then here are this group of people that we're growing up with and that after graduation, sometimes we just lose touch, but they were such an important part of our life as well. So Santa Barbara was amazing. It was beautiful. Like the connection, I think the fact that we were all live so close together. You girls had like 50 roommates. I lived with 3 people. But even then, like we just opened our doors and éramos familia. Éramos como familia. And the fact that we were like such a small Latino population, it brought us even that much closer, even though we didn't know each other. It just made us immediately like brothers, sisters, primas, like el tío, el bigotón, allá, all that stuff. So I think it was really a really, really cool vibe. So I'm glad you brought that up because summer Santa Barbara, it was like an eternal summer. But anything you guys want to share before we go? It's already like past our usual short summer series timing. That was a bit, maybe a summer memory that you want to share before we go.
One of my favorite summer memories is all of us being in Palm Springs together. That was really pretty and beautiful. And like almost 20 years later from our college days, like we all managed to make it. We all dressed in white for that photo shoot. Like what a sweet thing. We set such a hard time. And in retrospect, that was a really fun idea. And it was awesome. And we all looked amazing. But to be in Palm Springs, like cuarentonas y buenonas, like I'm proud of us to still be together and to be friends and to be connected and to make it happen. This beautiful house, beautiful time. And that was a couple summers ago. But I'm proud of us as friends to have still been able to do something like that and pull that off and feel good and be in the pool and working out. Sissy and I were doing like workout challenges. We woke up and worked out, both of us. Damn, yes. Look at us, girl. Look at us. Who would have thought? Now me.
Yes.
That's a really beautiful like summer memory, and I'm glad we took some really nice photos. We have some really great Level Up Latina photos. If you're on our website, you'll see us all dressed in white, and that's from us being on vacay with like 8 of our closest college friends, which is really sweet. Bunch of girls and one dude.
Always Christian Diganko. We love you. All right. Well, if that's anything, if there's any summer memories that are popping up to your mind, share them with us. Send them over in our DM or send us an email. You can find us on our social media feeds. You can find us at Level Up Latina on Facebook and Instagram. We are occasionally on Twitter at Latina_up. You can always find us on our website, leveluplatina.com, where you can find some of our cool gear. You can also find our podcast. You can find all of our services because we are talking here to 3 amazing Latinas, chingonas, with very different paths in lives, but always want to level you up in any way we can. And you're still in time also because we are going to be having an awesome event towards the end of the summer, right at the beginning of fall, for you to join up with us, get a chance to chat up, maybe share your memory there, but maybe we hear about it beforehand. It's all good. And that's going to be our Breakthrough Brunch, and you can find the events also on leveluplatina.com. So thank you so much for tuning in. Les queremos mucho, los queremos, and see you on the next one.